This is, viewers, one of the deadliest attacks on tourists in the valley in years. 28 people have died, killed after 4 to 6 terrorists opened fire in this area. This is the Betaab valley of Pahalgam. And most people who've been to Kashmir, if you've been there as a tourist, I'm sure you visited Pahalgam, in which case this area and this massive meadow is one of those must-visit sites. The terrorists, reportedly, some of them were wearing army-style fatigues and face coverings. They emerged suddenly, began firing at tourists. So there was a lot of confusion among the tourists. There was chaos because they could hear gun shots being fired. They'd be trying to run away. And then they'd see, in fact, some of these men dressed in army fatigues thinking the army is reached, only for it to turn out to be a terrorist. More images coming in of Home Minister Amit Shah as he touched down in Pahalgam. And you can see there the security deployment as the Home Minister touched down in that very spot. This is in Betaab Valley. This is where the attack took place. So you see that entire green pasture all around and the trees around there. There were people frolicking, having a great time in all of these areas. There were zip lines that were put up here. There were stalls that were put up here. So it is a very, very popular tourist site. And it was full of tourists because it's, of course, tourism season in Kashmir. The terrorists made the most of that through this entire area. They walked around, took their time, targeting group after group, targeting men, targeting Hindus. And that's clear, evident in the list of casualties that we've got as well. And these monsters, clearly with the intention of deterring development in the valley, clearly with the intention of trying to halt tourism in the valley, started targeting innocent civilians in the most cowardly strike yet. Those were images from Pahalgam, this from Srinagar, where you had Home Minister Amit Shah meeting with some of the family members, the aggrieved family members who I'm sure are still in a state of shock over what's just happened. The people you see gathered there in Srinagar, whom the Home Minister was interacting with, are survivors themselves of the terror attack, are people who went through that absolute nightmare yesterday. And you cannot wrap your head around what they've gone through, having to see their husband, their son, being shot dead right in front of their eyes. And now, in a state of shock, they're going back after a holiday to their homes with a coffin. And imagine what each of these families are going through, which is why there's so much anger, understandable anger in the country right now, seeking a retaliation, seeking a response, and seeking that these terror outfits be taught a lesson for targeting innocent Indians, innocent civilians in this manner. Mir Fareed is live with us, continuing to get us all the updates from Pahalgam. Mir, where Home Minister Amit Shah has landed, that entire area, that green pasture that I see around the Home Minister, that's exactly where the terror attack was carried out. It's a large, wide space, Mir. And the fact that there wasn't any official on ground, in the sense that there was no personnel on ground, the terrorists knew they could take their time. They went around that entire area shooting indiscriminately.
That's right, Akshita. In fact, we were there moments back. Now, obviously, the police security forces have pushed us back, but we know choppers landed, and there are a couple of choppers that are hovering around because this is a high-profile visit, so there has to be absolutely foolproof security. But as far as this meadow is concerned, as you rightly put it out, narrated that this is one of the most beautiful meadows of the Kashmir Valley. Pahalgam, we know, is a very big tourist spot. It's not like Gulmarg or other places. There are so many things to see, so many places to visit, and Baisaran is one of them. Now, this is different from, say, Nadu or Chandanwadi or even proper Pahalgam or Betaab Valley, because those places are on the main road of Pahalgam. There is a lot of security presence around, quick reaction teams very close. But this is cut off. This is cut off, and this was a different experience for the tourists because they would get to trek, horse ride, and that was the thrill. And that's why so many people came here with families. The Poniwalas, this is the track behind me, is the track that the Poniwalas used. And this was used yesterday by the tourists as they ran for cover, ran for their lives. This meadow is pretty huge when you compare to open spaces in Pahalgam, and then it is laced by forest cover. Then you have a beautiful mountain top. So this is one of the most cherished places as far as tourists are concerned. Whoever comes to Pahalgam comes here. So that is why the security lapse and the laxity it becomes even more evident, because this was not rocket science. They knew that this place is cut off. There are inputs. Previously also there were inputs about movements of various Jaish Lashkar groups using this area as transit. So this was not new. So definitely there has been a laxity. And that obviously will be one angle that will be probed. Obviously the Home Minister is here. He'll also talk about it, get feedback as to what went wrong, what steps can be taken in the future to avoid and ensure that such places are covered with area domination or pickets. Also, this area does not have any permanent buildings. Now, as you also rightly said, that there are small stalls. You have tea, coffee, can have tea, coffee, snacks there, Maggie, and then you also have some machans, vantage points from where you can take a look at the beautiful beauty of this or the beautiful places of this particular location. So that is all that you have in form of infrastructure. So this is a vision. This is a place that you will only find nature, no development. So that is also something that one needs to notice. And then, as we have been saying non-stop, the approach is very difficult, and this is the reason why they chose this spot, because they would have recceed it time and again. They would have seen how they can come in, and then obviously they escape routes. There are so many. I mean, this area has lot of forests. You have mountains, you have caves, boulders. So you can have so many hiding spaces if you want, and then you can also use it as a transit route to reach the other locations. There is a gap in the reaction time. At least 1 hour it took the forces to come to this area, launch a search operation, and by then they had slept into the forest area. And then the night
and that's
came.
what made it so hard, because also these terrorists knew the layout in and out. They knew where they can hide, they knew where to attack, whereas the tourists were obviously there for the very first time in their lives. And so they had no idea where to run. They knew that they couldn't go anywhere. They were stuck in that very expanse. And where these terrorists were hiding, they had no idea. So the terrorists had that advantage that seemingly, as Mir Farid tells us, they knew this entire area in and out. They knew where to strike, they knew where they could hide, and they chose this particular location for that exact same reason, which is why the Home Minister's visit there is very, very crucial, because it helps us understand the terrorists' thinking and how clearly they wanted to target innocent civilians, they wanted to target tourists, and they wanted to ensure maximum casualties.